Hey, what's going on, beautiful Jellyfish? It's Tracy.
And Paul.
And we're going to be doing an EDH deck for you guys on Paul's Karn deck, which you've had this deck for like ever, I feel like.
3 or 4 years. It's gotten a lot more expensive since then, mostly because I'm in the process of foiling out the entire deck. Probably about 80% foil at this point.
So it's very, if you look at the price and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm shook right now, it's not because a lot of the cards, like, the metal worker is like
$600. Yeah, I have a foil Spanish metal worker. It's real expensive. But if you were to just get this all non-foil, I mean, some of the prices have changed a lot over time for these cards too.
That's true.
And right now, some of the cards are more expensive because they're played in every format right now.
Makes sense, yeah.
But Walking Ballista, New Karn, and a couple others. But
Karn especially, yeah.
it's probably about a third the cost you see if you were to do just basic cards, if not a little bit less than that even.
Yeah, so the deck has definitely evolved, I would say, just because, like, I think it's one of those things, like, just as EDH players, and you guys know this too, that, like, you see a bunch of sets, and you're like, cool, like, what cards can I pull from this? And artifacts are something that's just going to be in, like, every single set. So it's like, Paul's just like, okay, what are the best ones that I can basically do and, like, build this deck? But, like, there's so many solid artifacts, you could just make, like, 10 artifact decks, and they would all be different, because there's just so many.
Depending on whether you're running colors or no colors. The no color list has a smaller pool.
Obviously,
but it's probably the most fun, just because it's a little bit more challenging. But you also do get access to, or much easier access to some of the most powerful artifacts in existence.
Absolutely. So let's get into it. The first card is Artisan of Kozilek. This card's awesome.
Big Eldrazi gets cards back from graveyard.
And it's got Annihilator too.
Yeah, that's a nice plus. But it's a big body, and it brings back whatever I want from my graveyard.
Yeah, absolutely. And there is some recursion in this deck, so...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that's really sweet. Okay, the next card is Colossus of Arcos. Just a big dumb thing.
It's an 8 mana, 10/10, Defender, Indestructible, and for 10, Monstrosity 10, it becomes a 20/20 with Trample. Right? Yes, it gets Trample and removes Defender. So 20/20 Trample for 18 mana. It's a lot of mana, but you're going to play that off over 2 turns. And with colors, there's so many mana options, so many ways to generate mass amounts of mana. 10 mana is nothing.
You don't care about that in EDH.
No.
Like, in any other format, you're like, whoa, but like this EDH does not care about that. Especially colorless, like, oh my god.
The big thing here is the indestructibility, because board wipes for days, there's so much artifact hate that an indestructible artifact is always a good artifact to have.
Agreed. Preach. Alright, Darksteel Colossus. Is this the one that you're...
So yeah, this is going to be changed to a Blightsteel Colossus. The reason this has been a Darksteel Colossus for so long, it's still listed as Darksteel because I haven't gotten the Blightsteel yet, is because in our old play group, we kind of decided Infect wasn't fun for anyone. So I didn't run the Blightsteel because with a Rogue's Passage or any way to make it unblockable, it's just a one-shot kill any one player you want, and that's not as much fun for whoever's on the receiving end of that, and it does get old really quick if you do that.
I always feel like too, like with it's not even a combo, but like with something like that, it's like I tend to find when I do it, like I don't do it every game. I do it if I'm gonna lose or something like that. But I mean, that's just how I am. Some people play EDH very differently than that. And,
and with our new play group down here, it is a little bit more competitive, and so the Blightsteel does make more sense here. And again, it's a one-of. It's not like I'm running 35 Infect creatures.
And it's also not like like you're gonna tutor it for every time.
No,
you know
absolutely.
what I mean?
There's
again,
so many cards.
There's so many cards to choose from that again,
Even then, it wouldn't always be the right answer in most times.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you can still block it, so it's not like a...
I mean, it does have Trample.
If you do have Rogue's Passage. But again, those are like 2 cards out of like the deck.
Swords, a Chroma's Memorial, anything that gives it evasion, it can become a very quick one-shot. And with Trample and Infect, it's just like, ugh.
It's difficult to deal with. But again, if you're speaking, like, you can still block it with a ton of things.
Yes,
you know what I mean? Like, you can still have blockers for it, you know what I mean?
It's just a much better version of Darksteel Colossus, in my opinion.
Yeah, absolutely. And, okay, cool. So then we have Darksteel Juggernaut.
5 mana, star, indestructible, must attack each turn available, and power toughness or equal number of artifacts you control. The amount of artifacts you put out on this deck is insane.
Yeah.
So it very often is very big, and it's basically, I'm going to roll a dice, or whoever needs to get knocked down a peg that comes after. And again, it's another indestructible creature that sticks around. So yeah, it can't block most times, but there's so many ways to untap artifacts in this deck as well that it's like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, I'll just, swing it,
It's
roll
just
a
a big
die,
dude.
or just, yeah,
It's just a big
it's a
dude.
beater.
Yeah. Cool. Endbringer. This card's amazing. Love it.
Ping at the end of every turn, or draw a card, or make a creature not able to attack or block.
So what you find with a lot of this deck is there's so much mana acceleration and mana rocks. You get to some stages of the game where you like don't have anything going on, and Endbringer's a really solid way to just draw cards
Every turn,
when you need
yeah.
to. And a lot of times colorless tends to be like everyone draws cards, and you don't run a lot of those. And like
No.
I don't like letting other people draw cards. I want to
Exactly.
draw cards, so like you don't run a lot of those like Font of Mythos and things
No.
like that. So you're just like, okay, I need a way, but it's also a body too, and it untaps. Just this card's amazing. I love
At
it.
one point there was in this deck, but I found out that it ended up hurting me more than helping me because I gave everybody so many cards and just like,
Yeah.
I
And again,
I
artifact
need the
removal
advantage
is up
of
there.
card without giving it to everybody else.
Agreed, absolutely, which a lot of people think is wrong, but whatever. Okay. And then we have Etched Champion, which every time Paul plays this card, I'm like, he's playing Modern Affinity.
That and the Ornithopter and Mennonite.
It's so
just
funny when he
playing
has
Infinity.
starts like that, and it's
Yes.
somebody, or like, he'll play like a Tron land, and I'm like, oh, we're getting Tron
Yeah.
now! Like, it's so funny. I mean, this card is so hard for people to deal with. And like, the Metalcraft thing, you literally just always
If,
that's
if you
not
don't
a
have
question.
Metalcraft by the
You're
time you
doing
play that,
something wrong.
you've done something wrong,
Yeah.
or you've got the slowest start possible.
Yeah.
It has happened on occasion where it's like, oh, I have two creatures, two artifacts, because I had one, it got removed, so it lost Metalcraft or something
Yeah.
like that.
It's
But
very
very
rare,
usually
though.
by turn 2 I have Metalcraft.
Yeah, it's very rare that something like that happens. So, yeah, that's Champion. Then we have Golem Artisan.
So this has two abilities, both cost 2. One is target artifact, creature gets +1/+1 until end turn. The other is target creature gains your choice of trample, haste, or flying until end of turn. And it's also a 3/3. This, anytime you have bucket tons of mana, just give either one thing or a bunch of things, evasion or trample, to get around a lot of blockers or something like that, or buff them to get them around a mirrored block.
And if you have one of your ways of getting infinite mana in this deck,
Oh,
you can
even
just
that, yes.
use
Just,
this
that's
as
just an
infinite
instant
combo,
kill
so-
if I have enough creatures to swing it 3 people, which more often than not you will at an infinite combo with infinite mana.
Yeah, so if you do have an infinite combo, but you don't have anything to do with it, like this is one of the cards
Yes.
that you just, okay, cool, I'm gonna make my thing at a million with trample. You can do
One
anything
person's
about it.
dead, yeah.
This card's also really sweet too because it's not a tap ability and you can do it
Yep.
as many times as you want, which is really sweet. So
I've
this card's
had
sweet.
just a few games where I've just had 20 mana on the field with nothing to do with it, because I have like a anything that produces mana, like Blink Moth Urn, or I have
Yeah.
a ton of mana rocks and they all untap every turn because I have an Unwinding Clock or something like that. So like, hey, let's just go spend all this mana because I'm going to get it all back next turn and
Pretty much.
make a bunch of dudes bigger, give them evasion, do some damage.
Absolutely, card's sweet. Okay, cool. Hangerback Walker. This
This
card's amazing.
usually comes out relatively small unless I draw it late game, then it comes up as a...
It's one of the best mid-range cards.
It is, and it's
here.
great because if somebody destroys all perms, which is going to happen, or destroys all artifacts, which is going to happen, I get a bunch of Thopters out of it.
And they're flying, which is really important because
Yes.
this deck doesn't
There have been
much
times
flying.
where I have destroyed my own Hangerback Walker to get Thopters to block flying things, because
Yeah,
that is probably what artifacts have the worst of is flying.
agreed. And like, if I play my Avacyn deck against you,
There's just no hope
you
of
do
winning.
not win.
Unless I get an infinite combo off before you do that, I just don't win.
Straight up, yeah, card's amazing. Okay, cool. And then we have It That Betrays. This card's really good. I think very underrated. in my
It
opinion.
is
It's a
very underrated
EDH
because
card.
so many permanents in EDH have sacrificed to do an ability.
Oh yeah,
I mean, you have all the elves,
like
Solemn Simulacrum,
Simulacrum.
and things like that.
Well, that's not sacrifice unless you sacrifice it with something else.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, but like lands too, like if they have Evolving Wilds or
Yeah.
Fetch Lands or anything like that. There's a
And-
lot of things people
I mean,
sacrifice.
Evolving Wilds and lands really aren't that helpful because I don't have anything I can fetch with them.
Yeah, that's true.
But people sacrifice creatures all the time.
Oh yeah,
It
absolutely.
makes things like Soldier much better on the field because I take the permanents that people sat.
Yeah.
Or anybody else you know, sacks a creature for mana or to get a land or something, I get that creature, so I now have another blocker and another permanent to sack when somebody else makes me sack creatures or something like that. Or if I play an All Is Dust, I make everybody sack all color perms, I get all of them. Instead of them just going to the graveyard, they all come to me and it's wonderful.
It's amazing. It's also got a 9 too, casually.
Yeah.
Stapled on there. Cool. Junk Diver, a new addition to the deck actually,
Yes.
which I have Brea, which is obviously very different from this, but we kind of talked about a lot of cards that we would put in our decks, and Junk Diver is one of the cards. Great. It's a great chump blocker, and it's got flying.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things was this was just a replacement for Mirror Retriever and another artifact removed because this one had flying, and it's a 3-drop, and with the addition of Scrap Trawler I added as well. This has some synergies with it. Now you can get 2 cards versus just 1 card.
Yeah.
It's slightly hammered, but
really good. People are gonna kill your artifacts. So
yeah.
recursion is super important in this
Absolutely.
deck. So yeah, card's great. Then we have Kozilek, Butcher of Truth.
This is card advantage, big annihilator, big dude.
Also, just like, why don't you want to draw 4 cards? Because that's like my favorite thing ever.
Yes.
It's also really difficult, if you know me, to talk about Eldrazi in a positive light right now, so just want you know I'm trying really hard.
I mean, there's also only a couple of, there's like 5 Eldrazi in the deck.
But Paul is really not a rude Magic player, like, so...
When it comes to Eldrazi, no. It's not like, oh, I'm just going to swing Annihilator, whoever's got the fewest permanents to end their day. No, I'm almost always going after either whoever's about to combo up and win, or whoever is winning at the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah. Kozilek's amazing, cozy. Okay, one of the best cards ever, Kadulch the Forge Master. This card's incredible, and I feel like no one runs it.
Well, because you have to be running Artifact Synergy.
Well, obviously.
Well, yes. It is also 5 mana to play.
Who cares? It's colorless. You don't care.
These are all fair points, and you need to know what you're going to tutor for when you're going to do this, because it does also tap, and you do have to sack 3 different artifacts.
Yeah, but like if you have recursion, like you don't care. And even also too, like you're sacrificing things that are significantly worse than what you could be getting, pretty much.
Yes. My favorite thing to sack is Hanging Back Fog, because then I get a bunch of Thopters, and then I sack the Thopters to get more things. And I have a new addition to the deck, which we'll get to in a minute, like 4 cards or something like that, which is also really good because it does cool things.
I like it. Matter Reshaper. This deck is so weird because it's like modern, like Tron, Affinity, and Eldrazi, like
it just plays all the good colorless cards.
So funny. Yeah, this card is like really sweet. This with Kadulch the Forge Master too is really sweet.
I can't sack Kadulch the Forge Master. This can't.
I'm sorry. Never mind.
Nope, because it's not a card.
But
no, it's just a like card advantage card. It's a 3/2 for 3. Who cares? When it dies, I can potentially get a free card on the field. If not, it goes to my hand.
But even if not, like it doesn't matter. Like you have a lot of really expensive stuff in this deck, but like it doesn't matter. You just get something to your hand.
It's a good chump block. I mean, it does.
Yeah.
It does things. And I can often play it for very little mana.
Meta Knight, because who doesn't like 0?
Free mana 0. Free mana 1/1. If I play a tap land on turn 1. I still get to play a creature. Often get to swing with it before anybody else does anything.
Also, something important I want to note is we're a part of an EDH league that we just joined with our friends here in Texas. And one thing that we have is like, we have like points and stuff. And one of the things is like First Blood.
Yes.
And so like a lot of people like don't play creatures like turn 1. You know what I mean? Because we're playing like ramp spells and like things like that. So like this is a really good like First Blood card. Just be like, poke you with the 1/1. Like you don't have no blockers. Like whatever.
Yeah, very few people have a blocker on turn 2, unless you're playing elves or some other very fast. Or maybe you'll have a Noble Hierarch, but you're not going to block Noble Hierarch with that.
Yeah, no.
The Noble Hierarch is much better as a mana
much
card.
more valuable.
Next is Metalworker.
Metalworker, yeah.
This card is a champ. It produces so much mana. There was a reason why this card was banned for a long period of time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
And it's only playable in Legacy because it's such an old card. They will never ever, because it's on the reserved list, reprinted, unfortunately.
Never,
but it's
infinite combo.
Well, yes, because it produces 3 more mana, or it can. But it's reveal any number of artifacts from your hand. You get 2 mana for each artifact revealed this way. Which means you got 3 artifacts in your hand. That's 6 mana right there. And then you use that 6 mana then to either play one of them or untap it with something, or just it can put out so much mana.
And there's the infinite combo with this. And
Voltaic Construct is one of them. I can do it with Mana Vault. I can do it with anything that produces a lot of mana.
Card's great. And okay, then we have new card. New addition to the deck, Mishra's Self-Replicator. I don't know if you've really drawn this, so if you've
I
gotten
have
a chance to
not
play
played.
with it.
I've only played the deck once or twice since I've put this in here, and I haven't
Okay.
drawn it yet.
Mhm.
But basically, it's whenever a historic spell enters the battlefield, I may pay 1. Right? Yes, I may
Yep,
pay
pay
1, and I get a copy of it. So it's a 2/2 for 5, which you're like, that's a lot of mana to pay for a 2/2.
Again, you don't care.
You don't, but each copy also has this ability. So in this deck is 98% historic spells,
Yes.
if you discount lands, and even then a couple of the lands would count because I have artifact lands.
Yes.
I make 1, and the next turn I make 2 more, and then I make 3 more, and it just goes wide real fast. Which I can then sack them all.
One thing I feel like too with this deck is this deck goes through a lot of changes. So like it doesn't really ever look the same, again, because of all the additions. So like this may be a card that you in the future are like, there's something better. You know
We'll see
what
how
I
it
mean?
goes, but
Like, we'll see how it
I
goes.
think this is a card I'm going to keep just because it's going to get me something every single time I play something. Like,
Yeah.
I always have extra mana, or almost always have extra mana to play, and so it's like, I might as well do something with this mana.
Yeah.
Because not like I
Makes
run a
sense.
lot of instants and sorceries. There's not a lot of those colorless
Oh, yeah.
instants in existence. So it's like, I've got nothing else to do, and my turn, let's just dump all the mana out.
Absolutely. Cool. Oblivion Sower. Card's great.
Target opponent exiles the top 4 cards of the library, I get any lands.
It's pretty straightforward, but it's a really
It's
sweet card.
usually if somebody's playing something that reveals the top card of the library, or I know they have threats that they want to put into their graveyard or
It's
something.
also just really good for exiling.
Yep.
You know, it's just really good, again, if you know what's going on in the top of your library. Even if you don't get the lands, you don't care, you've exiled stuff.
Yeah. I mean, hey, if I get
Super
lands,
cool.
that's great. That's free mana, but the lands really aren't the
Yeah.
point. It's more.
Agreed.
It's also a 5/8
Card's super cool. Ornithopter.
flying 0/2
It's
flying
not a whole
walker,
lot to say.
and it's a 0/2 for free. Like, sure, I'll
Card's
take it.
Palladium Mirror.
It's a mana
It's a
door.
mana
It's a mana rock. No, I don't need to say any more about that.
That's it. Platinum Imperion.
Your life total can't change.
Card's amazing.
The only way this card would be better if it was indestructible.
Then it would be very busted.
Well, yeah, I have ways to make it indestructible, so it's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a great card.
Yeah, I mean, this card's amazing. There's not a lot to say. Okay, Scrap Trawler. This card, I have to say, is really amazing. I don't know if you've gotten the chance to play with it that much.
I've had it come out once or twice, but it's
Okay.
pretty much immediately died afterwards to a
Okay,
field
well,
wipe or
I
something.
have it in Brea, and let me tell you something. And I have way more like, oh, I sack things, bring it
Yeah,
back.
yeah.
Like,
I mean, that's
I
the
have
Brea's whole
in my Brea
build.
deck, I have the Ironworks combo in there. I have a couple of combos in there, and it's a house. It's just so good. It is less than, I have to say, I think people misread this card. It is like,
It's
so you
not the
can't get
same.
like any artifact, like that would be OP busted.
Oh,
but it's anything less than. This card is still really good though. Okay, then we have Shimmer Mirror. This card is, I have this in Brea too. It's amazing.
Yeah,
Super
all your
good.
artifacts have flash, and this card deck is again 90% artifacts.
Also, too, it's a 3-mana 2/2. Like, that's really
Yep.
good. Like, it's very inexpensive for what it is. I think this card's very strong. Then we have Steel Hellkite.
This card is a
Amazing.
champ.
Amazing.
Flying 5/5, which is huge for
Oh, yeah.
colorless. And for 2, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn, which, that's okay. But the second ability, X, destroy all permanents with converted mana cost X for a player dealt damage by still get. One, it already has the flying evasion, so you're more likely to get through with that already. And then, so you either pay nothing, blow up all their tokens, or get rid of any problem cards that somebody has. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's, again, you don't have that many ways of dealing with your opponent's stuff in this deck. Not that you really care a lot of the time, because you're kind of on your own game plan, but Steel Hellkite is one of the ways of dealing with that. Okay, then we have Steel Overseer.
I think we all know what that does.
Oh
Just
my goodness.
make all my artifacts bigger.
And you can just untap this with a couple of your things
Yep.
to just, you know.
We-
Stuffy doll.
Oh, I love Stuffy Doll. Choose a player.
So good.
When it enters the battlefield, whenever Stuffy Doll would take damage, instead that player takes 1 damage, or however much damage Stuffy Doll, that player takes the damage.
So good.
And then Stuffy Doll can ping itself for 1 by tapping.
This
which is-
card is amazing.
I looked at it, hey, come on, swing at me, I can buff my Stuffy Doll. And they're like, why? I like because they take damage. I'm like, okay.
It's a very political card,
Oh, yes.
which is really cool. Yeah, card's great. Okay, then we have a new addition in the deck, so I don't know if you've actually
I've played this twice.
Traxos?
Yes, Scourge of Krog?
Krog?
Krog? I don't know.
Okay, it's a 4-mana 7/7 Trampler, EDTBs.
It enters tapped and only attached when you play Historic Spell.
Which,
that's
like the deck.
all but 5 cards in the deck that aren't mine.
It's just a big thing, a really good ticket I'd say in early stages of the game where you want
a 7/7 trample is huge on turn 4 and 5.
Oh, but you'll have that sooner because you have so many mana rocks.
Yeah, often I do,
You can get that,
I've had that out on turn 2.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Okay, then we have both Ulamogs. First is the Ceaseless Hunger. This card, a house.
Yeah, I mean,
a house.
all the Eldrazi are house. It's so much fun. Just exile 2 permanents from casting, even if it gets countered, indestructible. Make them mill 20 cards out of their deck. Where's this one, 10? No, this one's top 20.
This one's 20.
Yeah, so make them mill a 5th of their deck, or exile a 5th of their deck. That's
important.
just, it hurts.
It's hard to recover after an Ulamog swings, let's just say that. And then we said we have the other Ulamog in here. Old Ulamog, you destroy target permanent, indestructible, Annihilator 4.
And then exile, when it goes to graveyard shuffle, so this prevents mill decks from killing me as well.
Who is a mill deck that we know?
Not anyone we know, but we've played against mill decks before. It's happened. I mean, when I was playing Termetra, somebody almost milled me out, if you remember.
The next card, we literally can't even. I'm sorry, we had to make that joke. Let's be real here.
You had to.
Yeah. Okay. Anyways, Void Winnower. I mean, like, how do some people beat this card?
It's an 11/9, stops even spells. That's huge.
How do some people beat this card?
And even creatures can't block, which is even more important.
Card's amazing. Okay, Voltaic Construct, we talked about the infinite combo with this and Metalworker.
2 to untap target artifact creature.
Which, even if you don't have the infinite combo, honestly, untapping something is huge. You can swing in with your big thing and then just untap it.
Yep.
Card's really sweet. Very underrated in my opinion. And then we have Walking Ballista.
I do honestly think Hangerback is the better card in EDH. Fine, you don't agree. Every other format, I say Walking Ballista is better because
Yeah, I mean, you get 1/1s with Hangerback, but like this, you can literally just, I'm gonna Hangerback for like 20 and then sack it to deal you 20 damage.
Yeah, but it also costs 4 to put counters on this. For the other one, costs 1 to put a counter on it.
I literally don't care. You have generate so much money, you don't care.
Yeah.
Anyways, Walking Ballista, card sweet. I also
Death Touch Lifelink, when it dies, get 2/3/3s.
How does some people beat this card?
It's a solid card.
This card's amazing. I love it.
Okay, we have all 3 of the valid planeswalkers you can run.
Woo!
We have Karn Liberated, just a champ.
Yeah,
I've never gotten his ult off because either I've won the game or it's died before I could get that far.
Mostly the latter.
Usually the latter, yes.
Yeah, Karn is really good.
Then we have the brand new Karn, Sign of Urza. I haven't drawn this. I've only played with it once, and it wasn't even in EDH. It was in Modern.
Wait, backtrack. What?
Yeah, I was borrowing one of our friends' decks, and they had a Karn in the deck.
I didn't know this.
They were playing Scred. Scred runs this now.
Oh, I didn't know you even remotely did that. Cool.
Yes.
Okay. Anyways, I thought you like snuck Karn in Death Shadow, and I was like,
no, that would be bad.
Okay. Anyways, I have been listening to podcasts like absolute crazy, and people have been mentioning this in terms of standard and modern, and just Karn is literally like I think just one of the best Magic cards ever that like I've seen, and the fact that any deck can run him, I think is so important to the game.
They need to work on balancing their colorless planeswalkers.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Because they're all OP.
They're all OP, and again, it's just the fact that anyone can play it, and the fact that it's like you don't care about 4 mana. Like you can pay it with any lands or any of your mana dorks or mana. Like it's just this card is busted. Okay, and the last one is Ugin the Spirit Dragon, one of the best cards in the deck. I would say.
+2 bolt somebody or a creature. -6 exile all colored permanents.
I just want to also let you guys know that the story of Paul's life whenever he plays this deck is I need to draw an Ugin or
an All Is
Dust or I die. Yeah, it's one of the best ways of dealing with stuff. It's also exile. I'm sorry, sacrifice?
No, this one's exile.
Exile.
All Is Dust is sacrifice.
All Is Dust sacrifice. Okay, yeah.
Great. It's great. And his ult. Draw 7, put 7. That's a game winner most times.
Absolutely. You're so far ahead at that point if you're drawing 7 cards that could put 7 permanents into the battlefield. Like, goodness. Okay. Artifacts, 27. The first is a Chroma's Memorial. Amazing.
Flying,
a house.
First Strike, Vigilance, Trample, Haste, and Pro Black and Red. I mean,
literally
you could
what
not
is
ask
not to
for
like
more.
about
I mean, the only
this
way you
card.
could only way this could be better is protection from more colors. And
Yeah,
you
but that
get
would be
that
busted.
be
I mean, this
broken.
card's already busted, like, let's
Yes.
be honest.
Blink While Turn. This is kind of more of a hug card because it does help everybody, but it helps me far more than anybody else.
Significantly.
You get 1 mana at the beginning of your first main phase for each artifact you control.
Absolutely. This card is just
It's a
really,
ton of
really
mana.
sweet. I like it. Chromatic Lantern seems like an interesting card.
I
to
do
put
have a
in this
couple
deck.
lands in this deck that don't produce mana, like Dark Depths. I have Ugin, sometimes Temple of the False God, unfortunately. And itself is a mana rock, so it does produce mana. It's mostly just a reassurance for the couple lands that don't tap for mana that I can produce a little bit of extra mana.
Absolutely. And I don't know, I can't think of a situation off the top of my head, but you may be in an instance where you need to, like, someone gives you a colored permanent and you need to tap it. Like, I can't think of
Oh, if I
anything,
get
but does that
fetch
make
lands
sense? Like,
off of,
yeah, like, I don't know, there just may be a
Oblivion
situation.
Sower, or they sack them because I have
Oh, yeah, like you have,
Kozilek. Not Kozilek, that betrays out.
that betrays, I don't know, there could be weird
Yeah.
situations where that could happen. Okay, Crucible of Worlds.
Oh god, I can play lands from my graveyard. I have lands that bring things back from my graveyard. I have lands that I sack for extra mana. I get to keep playing lands. It's so much fun.
Oh yeah, card's amazing. Dark Steel Forge.
Everything I have is indestructible.
Amazing.
Is basically what that card says.
It literally does. Expedition Map.
Let's tutor for
Any land.
Tron lands.
Okay, the thing is Paul always says that, but he like never does. So.
I usually tutor for a land that guaranteed to produce multiple mana. I typically either get Scorched Ruin or Eye of Ugin, Eldrazi Temple, Thespian Stage.
This is such a good, like, literally every, like, mid-range card. It's a perfect mid-range card because you're like, okay, sweet, I can literally get this at any point in the game and be, like, emotionally set.
Yep.
Card's great. Ironworks.
I have lots of artifacts, and I have the Chunk Driver, and I have Scrap Tools.
Mana Vault.
1 mana, produces 3. Doesn't untap during unstap. Unfortunately, that's not always a problem because sometimes it already untaps, or I can make it a creature and untap it anyways.
It's great. Mind Stone. I love this card.
Oh yeah, this card's
It's
just
great.
fun.
It's great. Again, great mid-range card. Great in late stages of the game where you have nothing to do and you just sacrifice draw a card.
Yep.
Card's great. Mind's Eye.
Colorless card draw, probably the best colorless card draw you can get. Especially if you're playing anybody else who likes to draw cards, so any deck that's running blue, they draw 5 cards, cool, I'll spend 5 mana to draw 5 cards with you. It's like, hey.
This card's literally a house. Absolutely amazing. Okay, Paradox Engine.
This is also a slightly weird card. It's whenever I cast a spell, you untap all non-land permanents you control. So, hey, you know all those mana rocks that you used to just play the spell I played? Guess what? I get to play another one.
Seems pretty good. Also really good too if you untap your if you attack with your creatures and you don't have vigilance, then you can play this and
Second
then have
main
them
phase,
second main phase play another spell
Yep.
and then do that, which is really sweet. Pariah Shield.
So
this
this-
stuffy doll.
Or any indestructible creature.
Yeah.
So any damage that would be dealt to you is instead dealt to a creature, so this does stop commander damage because you are not dealt damage. The damage is all dealt to that creature. So you take no commander damage, you take no infect damage, nothing.
Very underrated card.
Infect will hit the indestructible creature and will eventually kill it when it goes to minus
It's not really
zero
relevant
toughness.
in our play group.
It's not,
So,
but
yeah.
this card will stall out some games because I can't die is really what that card says.
Card's great. Okay, Paul does have another way of dealing with cards. I'm so sorry. Perilous Vault.
Yeah, but this does also hit me.
It does.
But I will more often let this sit on the field until somebody gets out of hand and board wipes or is about to board wipe or something like that. So I'm like, no, instead exile everything. I don't want things destroyed. I want everything exiled.
Very important. I love this card. It's one of my favorite board wipes. And anyone can run it because it's colorless. Planner Bridge.
I had Planner Portal in here for a very short period of time. I immediately replaced it with Planner Bridge because going to the battlefield is better than going to my hand.
Absolutely.
And it's only 2 extra mana.
Absolutely. I mean, tutoring for anything. And again, that 8 mana may look intimidating, but guess what? You don't care. And you have so many ways of untapping your artifacts that you can just do this multiple times.
I have done it multiple times. I have won games because of this card.
Card's great. Okay, Sculpting Steel.
Comes in a copy as any artifact. Soul Ring.
Yeah.
Platinum, not a platinum period, but or any giant.
What I really like about this card too is it's any artifact, not just that you control. Yes. So you can just, if someone has a better artifact than you, which I feel like is kind of rare, but it may happen.
Well, maybe somebody's got Mana Crypt on the field, and I'm like, oh, I'll take another free draw, 1 mana, produce 3 mana artifact. Sure, why not? I'll take a copy of that.
Cool. Soul Ring. I don't think
I think everybody knows what Soul Ring does
about
at this point.
Card. Okay, Staff of Domination.
This card is a win con on its own.
Yes.
It does everything. Gain life. Untap creatures, tap creatures, and draw cards. What more could you ask for in a single card?
Okay, so this does have an infinite combo with it, with the...
well, if you have infinite mana, this essentially says you win the game.
It does, because
you draw your deck, play the deck, swing for lethal, and that's game.
So that's what you can do. The draw card too, but if you don't have that infinite combo, like still drawing cards, again, super important in this deck. Drawing cards always, but especially in this deck, doesn't have that much card advantage, so... Okay, a Staff of Nin. I call it Staff of Win because, I mean, this card gets you to win because it helps you draw cards. And it pings things, which is very relevant.
Pinging 1-drops is probably more relevant in Commander than most people realize because, nobody runs 1/1s or 2/1s. There's more cards with 1 toughness than you'd realize that are played in
Also,
Commander.
too, like, you can just 1-kill people because you have magic combos with this card. But again, even if you don't like pinging someone, I've, like, pinged people to literal death. Like, it has happened, so, yeah.
I've done 15, 20 damage to a player before.
Okay, so do we really want to go through each of these individually?
No, we just started off all 5 of
all
those.
5 swords.
Sword, Body, Mind, Feast, and Famine, Fire, Nice, Light, and Shadow, Worn, Peace. Pro 2 colors, and
they
all have
a
awesome
myriad of abilities. Yeah, they're awesome. I don't really want to go through them.
No.
Just... Okay. Thran Dynamo. Great mana acceleration.
Yeah, it's a mana rock. Need I say more? And it can potentially generate infinite mana.
Okay, this next card is becoming one of my favorite EDH cards. Trading Post.
It's a value card. Goats. It can do so many things.
Goats. My old roommate could do really good goat noises. I can't. Anyways, discard a card to gain 4 life. Cool. If you're in a desperate situation. Pay 1 life to get a goat. Sometimes you need blockers. Hey. Sack a creature. Return target artifact from your graveyard to your hand. That's amazing.
Yes.
Second artifact, draw card, the most important thing because
with this deck, the last 2 are the most important because sometimes somebody's going to get killed, put in the graveyard, I need to get it back. It's great. Basically, let's sack an artifact, get an artifact back. Sacking Doctors is a lot of fun.
Unwinding Clock.
Untap all your artifacts. It's just every untap step, untap all your artifacts. It's great.
This is with Endbringer? I'm sorry, Endbringer.
Endbringer already untaps itself.
Endbringer already has itself.
But any mana route, just float mana every turn, just do whatever you want, it's fun.
The last card, Vidalcan Ori. It's so funny is I was playing with this when we played, and I'm like, this is so good.
Yeah.
Like, this card is just amazing.
You have Flash.
Like,
Flash is great.
What on earth? And it's any non-land, so it's literally anything.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Planeswalker. I mean, Planeswalker is not really the best thing, but like anything.
I mean, if Planeswalker, if you got a bunch of mana, you're always going to kill it between. You play
that's
the
true.
last turn before yours, so you save yourself a little bit of mana on your turn, but that's really the only reason.
I'm really impressed by Vidalcan Ori. I'm a huge fan. And also too, we should have mentioned this at the beginning of the video, but we're bad and we forgot. That Karn is the Planeswalker.
Karn is the Silver Golem was the primary commander. So him is whenever he blocks or becomes blocks, he gets -4/+4, so it becomes a 0/8, which just makes him a big wall, which is fine. And then for 1, target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power type equal to its converted mana cost. So this makes all of those artifacts we just went through big dumb creatures.
It's really good because you're looking at some of these, like if you draw like a Soul Ring like in late stages of the game, that doesn't seem great, but it's like, okay, cool, but like you can just animate it.
Well, it becomes a 1/1 until you equip swords onto it, and it becomes you're like, wait, what? I just got killed by a Soul Ring? It's funny.
I like kill people with Soul Ring. This is pretty cool. But anyways, the second commander.
This is typically for 1v1, or if I want to go off and with our EDH games, want to get First Blood.
First Blood.
Is Hope of Girifur. It's a 1 mana, 1/1 with flying. And second ability, not the most relevant, but can be. is sacrifice, and until your next turn, target player who is dealt combat damage by him this turn can't cast non-creature spells. So if you're playing against a Storm deck or something, you know they're going to combo up. Now you gotta wait a turn.
I'll mix up all these things because we have no one who plays Storm in our playgroup, but okay, sure.
We have one who kind of plays Storm with Maelstrom, but that doesn't really affect Maelstrom. But they do.
Doesn't even make any sense.
You know what? Shush.
We're on camera right now.
I don't
We
care.
can't be aggressive.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, by the way, don't be like us and misread this card, because when we first read this card, we thought that it meant that every time you got hit by Hope, you couldn't cast non-creature spells. It doesn't do that. Don't
that
misread
would
the card.
make it.
That would literally make this
card would be
$1,000.
$1,000.
Like,
If it was that good, it would be
oh
banned in every
man,
format
like
already.
for 1 mana, oh kill it, cool, recast it for 3, like, oh, I don't even care.
But yeah, you can just check out the deck. Will be in the description probably.
Yes, we're gonna go eat some voodoo donuts, so, yeah.
Alright. Bye.
Bye.